Hello, Abdullah.
Hello, Foskett. Good morning from India. How are you?
Very well. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you. But then there is still half an hour to go.
Yes.
Session.
Yeah, that's fine. I've just got it up. You can see me. I'm on the screen. I'm wait. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Don't.
I can see you.
This is. I need to be ready, so I'm all ready to go. I wanted to do it early in case there were any hiccups. Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't worry.
That's fine. That's fine. Maybe you could keep yourself on mute. Possibly that would just
Don't worry. Don't worry. I've got plenty. I just wanted it set up. I'll be ready to start at 11 o'clock. No problem.
11 o'clock. Yeah, this is 30 minutes from now.
30 minutes from now. Yeah, no problem. Okay.
All right. Done.
Okay.
Fine. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Yeah.
You remember Sophie because she won an award, didn't she? So I think that's when they probably first met. What was that award for, Leanne?
It was a bravery award in 2011, and she's been 5 years old at the time, and she's at that young age had already had quite a lot of operations, whether that be stomach operations and airway operations. There's a lot of operations she's had, but in just those short 5 years, she's been through quite a lot of painful procedures. So a lot of our friends and family have nominated Sophie for Bravery Award, and obviously we were delighted to find out that she won and actually received her award from Victoria herself.
Well, without any more ado, let's relive that moment at the weekend. So this is, you're having this conversation. Harry's on board with this multi-screens going on here, and Rachel Gregory from Wellchild, who we're going to speak to very shortly as well. And then this happened.
I almost, before we finish, I almost want to pause for the chaos and invite all the children in. At least the children that are able to get to the camera. Are they mobile?
Yeah, I mean, I have to go for a little walk around there and find Sophie. The camera's talking amongst themselves.
There's so many further available.
They should all sleep.
Here we go.
Let me see. Sophie, can you remember what I said I was going to be speaking to you today?
There she is.
Who's here?
Hey, Sophie.
Look, who's that? Harry. And Rachel's there.
You recognise Rachel? Probably wait.
Yeah.
What a moment, what a moment. And what does that mean for you, Leanne? And what do you think it means to Sophie?
I think it means an awful lot, actually. We are with Sophie's needs, and you'll probably be aware, she has quite a lot of complex medical needs. She was born at 24 weeks, so very, very early, and she has cerebral palsy, quite lung disease, she's ventilated, has tracheostomy. So she has a lot going on. We have, up to 45 medications that we need to give her a day to keep her comfortable and help with the seizures. But actually, aside from that, she is the fattiest young lady and has the most wicked sense of humour. So she likes to keep us on her toes, but at the end of the day, she's a teenage girl and likes to socialise with her friends. But aside from all that, because of the level of care that we need to give Sophie to make sure she thrives at home, there is a lot of things that go on behind closed doors, that care that we give her, and actually is not often recognised, is not often really appreciated by some kind of areas really where, you know, because I'm not a nurse, but I do the level of care as a nurse would do to keep Sophie well. So actually the call from Harry the weekend, especially during this time in lockdown, it just came at the right time. It was really
smiling.
good.
She's smiling.
Harry.
She said Harry, and she's smiling. And you know, it meant a lot to her. I'm sure it meant an awful lot to you as well, because like a lot of mums, you're in there, you're doing this, you have to do this yourself. But the organisation behind all of this.
Yes, you obviously have carers coming in, and one of those carers is Rachel Gregory, and we saw Rachel in the video there as well with Fritz Harry. Are you there, Rachel? Morning. Oh, can you hear me, Rachel?
Oh, I've lost it. I can hear you now.
Oh, yes, you can hear me. Rachel, it's lovely to talk to you. You work for Well Child, and you're a long-term ventilation nurse. Tell us what you do for Sophie when you go into her home.
Okay, so I am an NHS nurse, but I was funded by Well Child nearly 6 years ago, and my role is part of a long-term ventilation team based at the hospital. So we support a growing number of children with chronic health and respiratory needs who require ventilation at home. And my role is predominantly community-based, and I work across Nottinghamshire, Lincolnshire and Derbyshire, supporting these families so that the children like Sophie, and Sophie's one of my patients, to be able to live at home and live a fulfilling life and get out and about. And Sophie's a classic example of that. The Cooper family are amazing. They don't let anything hold them back. They absolutely live life to the fullest. So this time, particularly at the moment with the pandemic and everybody in lockdown, is particularly challenging for everybody. And I know for me as a nurse, where my role would be out and about in the community, at the moment I'm very hospital-based, very desk-based, speaking to families on the phone, offering what support I can and guidance, and just being there to listen to their worries and try and guide them through some of the recommendations that are going around all the time.
Well, I think at that point, Rachel, it's time we recognise you, your organisation, Well Child, and people who are carers and do that job. And you know what? Mums, parents like Leanne there as well, and most of all, people like Sophie and her sister, her twin sister as well, Erica. And you all, but listen. Round of applause, that's what we're really going for here. Appreciation to all of you. Thank you. Thank you. Rachel, I noticed your wee face lighting up there just when we did that. So do these applause, do they actually mean a lot?
Everything means a real lot. You know, it's particularly challenging for everybody involved in the NHS. And like you said, all the frontline workers, it's not just a health service, it's everybody keeping society ticking along. But it's just nice to have that recognition. We feel like we're in it as a team at the moment. I know with the families, we are trying to work so closely with them to make life bearable. And the trouble is, we don't know how long this is going to last. So it's keeping the happy moments going in the challenging times.
And taking one day at a time. Thank you so much.
I want you to know, when we're out banging tonight, when Ruth's hitting that pot with her spoon, and she's doing that, I just want you to know we're thinking of you guys, okay? Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you, take care. Just say, we're talking of clapping there, so we're supporting the NHS Charities Together 1 million claps campaign. So basically, you text clap 5, details are on the screen there with the number, and you leave a nice message. You text clap 5, okay, send it to that number, 70507, okay, you can leave a nice message, and that automatically donates £5. It's not clap 5.
Just clap.
Reciprocation. Just text
But
that.
anyway, the idea is you get £5 quid.
So each time you text,
every time you have the clap.
so that's why it's 1 million claps. Well, they're hoping to raise 1 million, but maybe. Yeah, let's hope it will be more. Let's hope it will be more.
Let's get texting. Let's do that. Very, very shortly, is this the, today, Cabinet are going to talk about lockdown, and they may give an end, they may not, if it's insightful. We're going to be discussing the stories like that, and the stories that will get you talking right after this very short break.
Cumberland Ring chorizo, breakfast, chipolata.
I get it. You like sausages?
No, I love sausages.
like a boss. Play more of any bingo games, only at Dollar Bingo.
Sleeping. A natural way to help you stay mentally and physically healthy. And during these uncertain times, it's important to remember how wonderful sleep really is. Getting at least 7 hours a night not only feels good, but also helps refresh your mind and support your body's natural defenses. For online help and advice, search Benson's for Beds. Sleep well, stay well.
Blackcurrants are my paint, the field, my canvas. I suppose I'm something of a perfectionist. We're in it. But just look at the fruits of my labour. Juice into every bottle of Ribena. Call this one Spear Purple Rhapsody. Andy, hello.
Let's get these berries off to the presser, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Janet. I got carried away again.
This is a message from the government. Coronavirus is a national emergency, life-threatening for people of all ages everywhere in the UK. To help save lives, stay home. Only go outside for food, health reasons, or work, but only if you cannot work from home. Stay home. Anyone can get it, and anyone can spread it. Stay home. Protect the NHS frontline staff working to save lives.
How does broadband travel at an average speed of 108 megabits per second feel? It feels like lightning. And how does it feel to keep the whole household entertained and access your favourite streaming services through our amazing V6 box? Feels good, right? So feel the deal on Virgin Media's Big Bundle for only £29.99 a month for 12 months with a £35 setup fee and save over £96. Now that's a big deal. Search Virgin Media Bundles.
It was just a small gift. One, however, that would spark a bit of an obsession. Mum and Dad encouraged other activities, but alas, had to sell things almost as fast as they bought them. Friends and family thought it was cute. Well, it's all fun and games until your child is 34, still lives at home, and absolutely nothing has changed. These things should come with a warning label. Buy, sell, eBay.
Nature knows best. That's why we let it grow our new, responsibly sourced Botanica range, so you can enjoy authentic, exotic fragrances. New Botanica by Airwick, grown by nature.
Tonight on ITV, please join me, Ross Kemp, and the staff of Milton Keynes University Hospital as they battle COVID-19. That's Ross Kemp on the front line with the NHS tonight at 8:30 on ITV.
Wow, you're smouldering. What's the special occasion?
Meeting up with a certain someone later.
Oh, do tell.
Oh, just an old flame.
There we are. Very good, very, very good. This is a special show celebrating the NHS and celebrating everybody on the front line. What we're going to do now is to discuss when this lockdown may or may not come to an end, and we do that in the company of Vanessa Feltz, live from the USA, Connecticut, to be precise. Picture looking perfect there. It's Tricia Goddard. Very lovely to see you both.
Nice to see you.
See you.
Morning.
So guys, reckon cabinet today, the prediction is lockdown will be extended certainly until the first week in May. I don't really know what the situation is in the USA, what they're talking about, Tricia, in terms of lockdown, but now the prediction here is, well, certainly we're going nowhere until the 7th of May.
Well, according
according to Donald Trump, everything's going to be tickety-boo on the 1st of May, but that's today's news. It could change. We're talking about the UK. Professor Neil Ferguson makes a really good point that during Brexit, there was a whole department for Brexit. There doesn't seem to be the same cohesive thinking over this.
Vanessa?
Yes, well, I think it's very difficult to think cohesively about something that hasn't yet happened. I've actually an excellent parallel with Brexit, this idea that you're imagining what it might be like. But I think lots of people are thinking of very constructive, possible ways of easing us out. So maybe the children will go back to school first, the little ones, maybe just the younger people might be released into the world of work, and then gradually the older ones. But I think most of us are feeling caution ourselves. We may have had enough of it, we're already sick of it, but actually, would we like to be unleashed back in the world full tilt?
How do you think it should be done, Vanessa, then, in stages?
I think gradually, very, very cautiously, don't you? Because if it's working, and it looks as if it's working, we don't want to ruin the good effect of everything we've been through for the last few weeks. We want it to continue. We want to be safe.
Sorry, I was going to say that's one of the fears here in the USA, because of course it's not just one country, it's lots of different states. And giving an actual date when something's going to happen, I mean, you look at New Zealand, I mean, they're not going to actually pass any judgment until the very last moment. So to give a specific date and say, on this day, we're going to get back to normal is very, very scary. I agree with Vanessa.
Vanessa, what do you think, like what we're hearing today, outlets, food outlets like Burger King, like Kentucky Fried, like Pret a Manger, they're going to open up certain outlets, obviously takeaway only, not sitting in.
But that's hospitals, isn't it? They're talking about doing that near hospitals, and I actually think, as my daughter is an NHS worker, I actually applaud that idea.
Okay,
I think it's an excellent idea, because we know all the nurses and doctors, first of all, when they get the right PPE, thank heaven, they can't take it off, they can't drink or eat a thing, and then when they come staggering out exhausted, all they want is something hot, nourishing and nearby convenient. So, well done to the fast food outlets, also all the volunteers, all the small restaurants, families who are keeping them supplied with something warm and nice to eat.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You mentioned schools there, Tricia. Some people are talking maybe that children could go back to school. Schools could reopen, except teachers' unions have said, some of their teachers saying, well, we need protective clothing in that case. How would you imagine that would work in a school with a teacher in full protective clothing teaching kids who aren't?
And they make the very good point that trying to get primary school children to maintain social distancing would be really difficult. I think when you look at the reports coming through from the union, what it seems to me that the teachers aren't getting enough information. That's one of the things amongst all of them that they're complaining, that they haven't been given enough information about or discussion as to how that would happen, what they could do, what have you. And what tends to happen when people or organisations don't have enough information, they get very angry, they get very worried, they get very scared, and we do not need our teachers to be in a state of fear and having that lack of knowledge.
What do you think, Vanessa, in Denmark? Children went back to school yesterday in Denmark.
My younger daughter is a teacher, and teachers are very similar, as we've seen throughout this crisis. Many of them keep workers, they're keeping the schools open, the hubs open, so that the children are key workers, and key workers can keep on being looked after while their parents are at work. She said to me that, teachers will not be stopped from teaching. It's their vocation, it's their drive, it's all they want to do. But little children, especially in primary school, they're little snuffling, sniffling, harbinger and every girl you can possibly imagine. And they want to kiss you and cuddle you, and they want to come up and tell you stuff and touch you. So there's going to have to be some very clever creative thinking to protect the teachers, the parents, and everybody else. I mean, it cannot be, unfortunately, straight back to how it was before. It's just such a shame, but we are going to have to develop what they're calling a new normal, aren't we?
Yeah, a very long time. Very long time as well.
Yeah, I think it will be a very long time. I think we'll all feel very differently, won't we, about hugging and kissing and shaking hands with people. Sarah Ferguson, would you like a bedtime story, the two of you? Sarah Ferguson, she's on YouTube now, where she's reading different children's books. We have a little listen.
Hello, It's me again. I'm so excited to see you. Here we go. Today, we're going to read Harry McClary. Out of the gate and off for a walk went Harry McClary from Donaldson's Dairy. And Hercules Moore stood big as a horse. Look at that big dog. With Harry McClary from Donaldson's Dairy. There he is, very hairy.
There's a few of you turning into Harry McClarys these days, I have to say.
I'm laughing because I used to do play school. For years in Australia, I did play school. But why isn't she reading the budgie books? Yeah. Don't understand.
We've had that before. She's got her own books, Vanessa. But, you know,
I'm a big fan of Looney Dog. I love Harry McClary novels and so I've never ever heard it read with quite that emphasis. She's not genius. So Harry McClary from Donaldson's Dairy. No, Harry McClary from Donaldson's Dairy. Possibly pots, covered in spots, ugly paws, as big as a horse. And of course, don't forget, Schnitzel von Crumb with a very low tummy. He's my favourite.
I think you should be doing a bedtime story for us all, Vanessa.
Exactly.
I'm putting your name forward.
I'm right.
Guys, thank you. Keep safe and well. Yes.
Nathan, I was going to say, when you said that earlier, I can't wait to see you and Ruth banging away tonight. That's what you said.
Every Thursday's our night. She comes out with that pop.
And then we chill on Sunday.
But I do think you're over vigorous, to be quite. I honestly do. I do. No, when we're
There's a lot of
standing,
energy. What can I say?
when we're standing there on the step, you do like to be your very
Yes,
raucous.
very raucous.
So I think that's a bit much. I think when we get the idea of it, but that's a bit raw. Off you go.
If you're going to do it, commit to it. Do it bigger.
Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you very much indeed. God bless.
What are we doing on today? Oh yes, after the break we're going to be talking to Simon Gregson, Steve McDonald from Coronation Street, and he is been ill himself. Sadly had a death in their family, but he's going to do something very positive for the NHS. So we're talking to him about that right after the break.
Steve, what do you think happens to your dreams when you wake up? Oh, I'll ask someone else then.
No matter what you're going through, I will look after you.
Now more than ever, we are by your side. Lloyd's Bank.
Before yourself, £30,000.
No way. I think I lost it a little bit.
For your chance to win, sign up for midnight on the 23rd of April to play in the May draw.
This is just amazing. I have no words. I'm absolutely shocked.
How does broadband travel at an average speed of 108 megabits per second feel? It feels like lightning. And how does it feel to keep the whole household entertained and access your favorite streaming services through our amazing Heat 6 box? Feels good, right? So feel the deal on Virgin Media's Big Bundle for only $29.99 a month for 12 months with a £35 setup fee and save over £96. Now that's a big deal. Except Virgin Media bundles. I'm having a baby!
A hip hop troll?
Tiny diamond, yeah, my name. Started from my daddy's name. My whole body's made of flavor, and I'll throw it in your face. Yeah.
Ah, what a troll. Trolls World Tour. Rent at home.
With Vodafone's half price and limited SIM only offers, you can get unlimited mobile data from just £11 per month for the first 6 months. Keeping the UK connected. Vodafone.
Take your movie night to the next level. That was incredible. I know. With the must must-see movie night adventure. Awesome! For the whole family. Say it! It's enormous fun. You've got to have eyes in the back of your head. Incarnation. Now we're in Florida. It's magic the next level.
Good morning, everybody. Great. Well, it's a wonderful day in London, although we're in lockdown. The sun is shining. There's a lot to hope for because we'll all be out of lockdown. It's not going to last forever. And the IAHM students, all of you, welcome. Stay positive. We will get through this. You'll all have a great future once we're out of this, and you're in the right place. You're in the right college. IIHM is a leader in the field of hospitality management. It is a world-class institution, and never forget that you are world-class students. So this morning we're going to look at production planning. We spoke last week of operational control, but now we're going to do how we plan production, because a lot of restaurants go wrong when, for example, they don't plan the production properly or professionally. Also, banqueting, all areas of mass production of food have to be very carefully planned. And we have to determine what is required and when. Is the food in stock? Can the food be made available at what cost? We've always got to look at costs. Lots of people, for example, put items on the menu or plan the production without looking at the cost of the food. What skills do you need? What labour is required? And we call this just-in-time production scheduling. So you get everything right. And just-in-time, or JIT systems, is a Japanese concept. It originated in Japan. And it simply means, from the diagram on the PowerPoint, that you receive customer orders, you schedule production, you receive the materials just in time for production. So they're not actually in the stock room, or they're not full of, or the fridges are not full. So you've got lots of food in stock way before you actually need it. Because don't forget, stock is money. And you complete the products just in time to ship to customers, or you complete the products just in time to serve to the customers. Or you complete parts just in time for assembly into products. So, for example, if you're running an assembly kitchen where you're using frozen items that you put on a plate ready to go into the oven on board the aircraft, you've got everything just in time as you need it. So we're not got excess stock sitting in fridges, stock rooms, etc. Now, the key elements of production are minimizing machine downtime. You don't want machines, equipment in the kitchen that you only use on occasions. You've got to have accurate stock recording system. We talked about that last week. And you've got to maximize labor, productivity, so you haven't got people standing around doing nothing. Now, the most important thing also, and we'll look at this again next week, is how to anticipate your customers' needs. What do your customers want? You've got to balance your resources, customer needs, and the production plan. You need to consider the orders from customers, what customers are ordering, and orders from forecasts, what you're forecasting, how busy you're going to be based on what you did last month, based on what you did last year, etc. So you've got a history, yeah, of your scheduling and a history of your targets and what you actually sold. Now, the production plan is a process. Never forget that. It's a process. Menu planning, planning menus carefully, purchase of ingredients, receipt and receiving. We talked a lot last week about checking the goods, inspection of the goods, correct storage, and then how you issue those ingredients to the various departments, the pastry department, the larder department, the production department, etc. Preparation for cooking, mise en place, that you've got the right people with the skills that are not wasting food, that are not overproducing food. Temporary storage and holding, and it is temporary. Portioning into container, portioning, very important, accurate portioning, accurate service, and how you clean and maintenance. Now, what we're going to see in the future is much more emphasizing on sanitation. And I think what customers will want to see, particularly in London, that when they go into a restaurant, they can wash their hands easily. Not necessarily going to the toilet, to the cloakroom above, but there is a wash hand basin available, or a sanitizer. As you go in, there's a sanitizing unit that you can actually press a button and sanitize your hands. Now, we're going to see a lot more of that in future. When I go into a restaurant, in the future, I want to be able to sanitize my hands like they do in a hospital ward. And I've spoken to a large number of companies to start thinking about sanitizing units in restaurants. Now, always, thumbs up, always the priority is the people you've got booked in your restaurant, the special customers you've identified, that you maintain customer satisfaction, and you evenly balance the workload. Now, we're going to talk about balancing workload next week in what we call production capability. So, availability of staff. what equipment and staff do you require? What material is required and is it available? And what skills? Now, the problem is that before the lockdown, many restaurants in London will have to look at their menus because they didn't have people with the skills. Costing. Always look, as we said, at your profit margins. Look very carefully at profit margins. Look at your food costs and look at your labor costs. And then we talked about operational control last week. But operational control can be looked at as production control. The function of production control is to ensure that production is maintained in line with the production plan where possible. So you've got your production plan and you've got a control mechanism. You've got to be able to respond to things that go wrong. Every day something happens. Yeah? Something uncertain happens. And rework the plan in order to put this schedule back on track. Things that can go wrong in production. Things that can go wrong. How to correct them. So the things that can go wrong are, first of all, how service contracts. Machines can break down. Machines can break down. So in order to keep them going, we have a service contract. Productivity, problems with labor, not getting enough work out of people. So we can have bonus schemes, incentive schemes to get people working to full capacity. Stock doesn't turn up. Supplies don't turn up. What can we do? Well, we have more than one supplier. Unexpected amount of volume of customers. We have security stocks, particularly if we can't get certain items on the menu. So we've got security stocks, frozen items. And then if we've got real labor problems, walkouts from staff, we have to look at improved labor relations. And if we haven't got enough labor at any one time, we must use temporary labor or casual labor. So this is a very complicated industry. So, operations management, food production. First of all, an executive chef is an operations manager. He or she is a production manager. The chef of the food production manager is responsible. The chef or the food production manager is responsible for materials management. You have to manage food. Food management. You manage the purchasing. You manage the receiving. You manage the storage. You are responsible for the right purchasing or employing the right procurement team, that they understand the food specification, exactly what you want. Receiving, storing and controlling, we talked about that last week. Production control, making sure that the equipment is working properly. that it's working to full capacity, but not over capacity. Also, how you manage the production, that you've got enough labour, enough skills. You monitor the staff. And most important, where a lot of companies go wrong, is maintenance. They don't enter into maintenance contracts. Equipment does break down. And you need a good maintenance contract. So, for example, at certain times of the year, when you've got lots of customers, yeah, when you've got lots of customers, but for Christmas, for example, and the machines break down or the equipment breaks down, you've got to be able to call your maintenance contract company and say, send someone now within hours. Quality performance. And quality performance is meant everyone knows the quality and the expectation, and they have pride in their work. They want to produce the best quality for the customers. And labour relations, that's a key one. And I've just had a question: what are the reasons for low productivity staff, and how can one overcome this? Well, low productivity and low morale is a major problem, not just in hospitality. It's across many sectors of industry. A lot of it comes down to poor labour relations. And a lot of it comes down to leadership and management. A head chef, a sous chef, they're leaders, they're managers. They have to have empathy with the staff. They have to value the staff, take an interest in the staff to bring the productivity up. If you value people, yeah, and you take an interest in them and you have empathy, they will respond and they will give you their best. This is about team building. Building a team. We're all a cog in the wheel. We cannot do things on our own in hospitality. We need to build a team. And what's important is we can overcome this by understanding our employees. But are they employees? No, they're colleagues. They're part of the team. And also, if they do well, congratulate them. Well done. Pat them on the back. That's the important thing. And give them some incentive. At the end of the year, a bonus, a thank you. Not enough people take interest in their staff. Not enough people congratulate their staff. Sometimes we've got to give our staff and our colleagues a clap. Like we're all clapping for the medical workers at this time. Give them a clap. Well done. All of you students who are listening today, I say well done to you. Give yourself a pat on the back and say, well done me. Well done me for coming in and listening. Well done me for being part of IAHM, because I've taken the right decision. Take an interest in people. Believe in people. And take them on that journey as part of your team. We are a team. And we work together. I hope that answers the question, Sanjay. Maximum output for minimum costs. Production management is maximum output, cutting down the costs, and always keeping the plant operational. Keep the plant going. Keep the kitchen going. The production manager, which is the chef, and on your PowerPoint, you should have a chef there who's a real chef. He's an Indian chef, and he is a and he is working for P&O Cruises, and he's a production manager. As I keep saying to you, chef is not about cooking. Being a chef is not about cooking. It's about being a manager, being creative, being innovative. Production manager is responsible for the quality performance of the whole team. The quality control is there, a check-in, planning and check-in process by which a company aims to produce good quality products. And quality performance. Does this happen in practice? Does someone check the performance of the staff? Important that a manager does not sit in an office. The best managers are walking around managers. Tom Peters, the great management guru, says the best managers are walking around managers, because managers are not up here. They're here as part of the team. We're all in this together. And objectives. The production plan is about the rate of turnover in financial terms. How much revenue are you turning over? Overall space usage per department. Kitchens are expensive places. This is why the kitchens are getting smaller and the restaurants have to become larger, because space is important and it's a cost. So we want to get maximum output. We want the minimum number of meals at Pacific times for lunch and dinner to break even. How many lunches do we have to do? How many dinners do we have to serve in order to break even? Minimum output of meals at service times for how many people do we have to get through per hour in order to break even? Minimum amount of production in terms in relation to labour and demand. How many customers do we need to pay the labour costs? How many customers per member of staff? For example, in a banquet, we always work on one waiter per table of 10 and one wine waiter for 20, so that 2 tables. 1 table of 10 for serving, and the wine, 2 tables. That's a rough estimate. So, production manager. I'm just going to go into, just give me 1 second. I've just got another question. The other question I have is, are quick service restaurants more successful in these times, or specialty restaurants in the context of production plan operations? Yes. Quick service restaurants are much more successful. And also specialty restaurants or casual dining, where a lot of it is, for example, centralized production and it's then shipped out to various restaurants. They're much more successful and much tighter operations. Yes, the success, McDonald's, Burger King, whether you like them or hate them, they are very successful companies and they have production planning and scheduling down to almost a fine art. The production manager is responsible for ensuring that quality is produced regularly and that the workforce has enough pride to want to do good quality. Now, what we do have is the budget. The budget is looking at the operation in financial terms. The budget is an organised operational plan. The budget monitors and regulates the activities of business in financial terms. How do we do this in financial terms? It gives a total perspective of the organisation's needs and shows the interdependence of its commercial activities. So the budget is looking at each area of cost, labour, food, income, targeted income. Are we meeting our costs? And the requirements of the operation, planning for a budget. First of all, the requirements of the operation is, for example, what kind of product the projected customer will want. Now, this is key. We're going to talk a lot about this next week. And next week, we're going to look at the consumer product relationship, because you have to clearly understand what the product, what is it the product that the customer wants? What product does the customer want? And McDonald's, Burger King, they know exactly. They've done their market research. They have got us all buying McDonald's, Burger King. They clearly understand the product relationship. And we in restaurants and hotels have to do enough market research. What does the customer want? We can't be all things to all people. But we have to clearly understand what market are we in and who are our customers. And once we know the level of customer, once we know the customers, what is the level of demand? What is the level of demand? More importantly, how much are they prepared to pay? And perhaps once we look at pricing, because pricing is very crucial. What's the pricing policy? It's no good producing something which we know people want, but they won't buy it at that price. We've got to get the price absolutely right. And how are we going to package that? And we talk about packaging in hospitality as the presentation, the plate, the type of plate it goes on, how we serve it. Next question, how important is the menu as a tool of production planning? Crucial. The menu is absolutely crucial. The menu comes before anything else. And where do you plan your menu? You plan your menu from identifying the customer, what the customer wants, how much the customer is prepared to pay. For example, it's no good planning a production and buying equipment that you're never going to use, such as a deep fat fryer, because actually you're not going to serve many deep fat frying items. So before anything, the menu is crucial. What product are we in? What product does the customer want? What market we're in? What do people want to eat? And what we're seeing in London and in the UK is a greater emphasis on vegan food. But they don't call it vegan, because vegan is a very sort of weird name, isn't it? People don't think, oh, vegan, you know? But they call it plant-based food. It's much more sexy to call it plant-based food. So we're seeing a huge surgence in young people wanting plant-based food. So we build our menu based on plant-based food. And also the customer's product time limit. How much is the customer time sensitive? How much time have they got to spend in our restaurant? We know that when people go to McDonald's, but when you go into McDonald's, you should only be 4 minutes before you get to the counter. That's the target. 4 minutes before you get to the counter and being served, because they know people that go in McDonald's are time sensitive. They haven't got a great deal of time. And the need to respond to demands within a specific time. So they know, for example, that lunchtime, in McDonald's, there's going to be a greater volume of people, but they've still got to keep to 4 minutes. So they know they've got to have extra people on the counter. They've got to churn up production. And this is why the question about the quick service restaurants, this is where they score. They do extremely well. Another very good question. What does preventative maintenance schedule in the production planning process? What part? It's crucial. It's crucial to have your equipment checked on a regular basis, because you want to prevent a low risk breakdown. Nothing can be worse than an oven going down at a crucial time. Now, I can remember there was years and years ago a special. We were in a hall in next to a synagogue, and there was a Jewish wedding. And the Jewish wedding, that had all the salmon en croûte, and the ovens broke down. They couldn't cook the salmon en croûte for about 200 people. What do you do in a situation like that? Well, the organizer, the production manager, was very smart. He said to the front of house people, keep them dancing, keep them entertained. And he said to the waitresses who lived all in the local area, go home and bake the salmon en croûte in your ovens and bring them back within the next 40 minutes. It was over 40 minutes. It was an hour, over an hour. But the people didn't know, because they were dancing, they were drinking, they were having a good time. But we don't want to get to that stage, because those ovens should have been checked. So you've got to have preventative maintenance. Absolutely crucial. And that's got to be built into your budget, built into your costs. Now, a policy for laying down standards of operation can include the following: quality, appropriateness, and safety. access, availability, and timelessness, affordability and frequency, value from all around value related to gross profit returns, quality of products and its presentation, standard source of supply, codes of conduct and codes of practice, recipe specification, standardized recipes, and clear menu descriptions. So, just give me 1 minute. Sorry. Just give me 1 minute, please. How do we incorporate market research into the basic production planning? I've just gone off screen for a second. I won't be long. So basically, how do we incorporate market research in the basic production planning? Well, what we do in the basic production planning, we're going to look at this in more detail next week, because the product consumer relationship is absolutely crucial. We have to find out who are our customers, what market are we in. Once we identify the production plan that's needed to produce the menu, then we can start looking at purchasing the food, the type of equipment, the labor, etc. It is a complex method, but we have market researchers. For example, who are our customers? As I said before, what market are we in? And where a lot of people go wrong is they open restaurants without identifying who the customers are, or they cook for themselves. Many chefs open up restaurants and say, well, I'm a great chef, I'm opening a restaurant. But they don't do the market research into what customers actually want. Ask yourself the question, what do I want? What do I like to eat? And that same question you ask to your peer group. We can't be all things to all people. It's absolutely impossible to be all things to all people. But what we have to do is find out exactly what people want. Large companies spend, corporate companies, food companies, processing companies, spend millions on market research. Hospitality industry doesn't spend anything like that. They can't afford to. But they can ask the local community. You can get focus groups together and ask. But also, if, for example, you are a restaurant that's up and running, you can ask your existing customers. Ask your existing customers. Ask your existing customers what they would like to see on the menu. That's a good one. Ask your existing customers, what would you like to see on the menu? Get feedback from your existing customers. Does batch production or mass production affect production? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Batch production or mass production is very important. Batch production and mass production is all about production planning. Absolutely. And for example, if I'm going to produce 3,000 chilled meals, I need to have a clear production plan of how I'm going to do it. What's the quantity of food I need? What's the quantity of food I need? What labor do I need? What equipment do I need? What skills do I need? What packaging do I need? You clearly have to have a clear production plan. And people go wrong when they don't have a production plan, and they lose lots and lots of money. That's the key. They do lose money. And we can't afford to lose money if we're in business. So we have to create a clear production plan. Now, I spoke earlier on about satisfaction, customer satisfaction. But I've said this before when I've been in India, and I keep saying it over and over again, that customer satisfaction is old hat. If you're in business now, you've got to think about customer delight. Now, David Hall of the Manchester Business School, he talks about customer delight. Going that extra mile where the customer's so pleased, they will recommend you. So it's value for money. It's quality. It's the meal experience. It's customer delight. What is customer delight? Let me tell you what customer delight is. David Hall of the Manchester Business School says this is what customer delight is. I'll give you an example. I moved house 3 times. The first time I moved house, I ordered new carpets. When I got home, the carpets were laid. The doors were still off. The debris was in a corner. The carpets were good. I was satisfied. Next time I moved house, I came home. The doors were on. Carpets were laid. The doors were on. The debris had gone. The carpets had been vacuumed. I was satisfied. But the third time I moved house, the carpets were laid. The doors were on. The debris had gone. The carpets were vacuumed. I was satisfied. But then I moved into the kitchen. And on the kitchen table was a large bunch of flowers. Welcome to your new home, from the carpet fitters. That is delight. And what does that mean? Going that extra mile to satisfy the customer. And you can have all the production planning. You can have everything in place, but you've got to satisfy the customer and finding out what the customer was and creating that delight, going that extra mile. I said earlier on, it's about taking an interest in your team to bring up morale, to bring up value, to bring up productivity. It's also about bringing the customers with you. They are part of the team because the customers are keeping you in business. Is artificial intelligence being used in production planning in the industry? No, but it will be in the future. And I tell you why it's not being used, because it's being used in the large food manufacturing industry, But the hospitality industry is behind. Much of the hospitality industry is very small operators. But to survive in the future, and certainly after this lockdown, there's going to be many changes. What do customers want? Yeah. And we have to find that through artificial intelligence. We have to build up the database of customers, of tracking customers. For example, I'm tracked. I go to my local supermarket, yeah, and my local supermarket gives me a loyalty card. I'll show you my loyalty card. This is my Tesco loyalty card. Okay, so when I buy things, right, at the end of my shop, that card is tapped into the machine, and they know exactly what I bought. They know more about my buying habits than I do myself. They pretend that loyalty card is for me. It is, okay, I get that, but it's more important to the company, because the company know exactly about my buying habits and they know exactly what I want. I'll give you an example. A couple of months ago, there was a discount on some very exclusive wine. And I looked at it and I thought, that's too good to be true, that wine. And I bought a couple of bottles of this wine, which normally would be very expensive, but it was under half price. And within a week, leaving, I tapped it. They knew I bought the wine. Within a week, I had a letter from the company, Tesco's. Would you like to join our exclusive wine club? Because they wanted to sell me more wine. And I said, wow, they really know what I like and what I'm buying. How do we incorporate market research findings into the budgeting process? Well, that's a good one, because when you do your overall budget for next financial year, you will have to put in an amount of money, which is a cost, to market research. Small restaurant doesn't have to be large amounts of money. Large restaurant groups will be more, but you have to put some money in for market research. And that market research can be very small, can be very large. Depends on the restaurant organization. But you have to look at market research. What does the customer want? The customer is changing all the time. Our likes, our dislikes are changing all the time. I spoke about vegan or plant-based food. Yeah, but it's changing. Less meat. Customers want to know more about sustainability. Where's the meat coming from? What is the ideal purchasing process for mass production? Well, the ideal purchasing process for mass production is this: that you go to suppliers and you order in advance. What you do is this. For example, you get a set price for 6 months for an item. So you guarantee that price won't change over 6 months. Contract buying. Yeah. So you agree the price for the next 6 months. So you might agree the price for milk for the next 6 months, for cheese, yeah, for butter. So you actually negotiate price 6 months. So if the market fluctuates and goes up, you're not paying any more. You're paying the guaranteed contract price which you have entered into. And all production planning does this. You have to guarantee you might want, for example, frozen meat, frozen lamb, frozen chicken. You guarantee the price for the next 6 months with the company, because you're bulk buying. You are actually bulk buying. Yeah. They know they're going to sell to you how much they're going to sell, so many kilos, 50 kilos a week of frozen meat. They know the price. They're guaranteed They're guaranteed to sell, and you're guaranteed the price. Contract buying is crucial for production planning. So what we're saying is that we are an industry like any other industry. We're governed by control. We're governed by the profits we're going to make, the gross profit, the net profit. But it's absolutely crucial that we treat this as a business. All the students at IIHM, you are business people. You are the future business. You are the future of hospitality industry across the world. But see yourselves as business people. You are the future. The future for you after this lockdown, we're very bright. I mean, we're going to have a vaccine soon. We're going to have a vaccine for COVID-19. Make no mistake about it, we'll have a vaccine. This is going to go away. And it's all going to open up again. Business will open up. But businesses will only survive if they run as a business. What is the ideal tool to understand customer needs? Well, the ideal tool to understand customer needs is speak to customers. Speak to your customers. Speak to your staff. Let me tell you this. We have a famous store here, and I've seen it in India as well, coming at the airport, called Marks and Spencer's. And Lord Seif, who was in charge of Marks and Spencer's in the 70s, and it was the most successful retail store in the high street. And Marcus Seif used to say to his board every Monday afternoon, who are our customers, what market are in? But more importantly, what he used to do, he used to go into a different store every week. And he used to walk the store and he used to say to the people on the shop floor selling the items, what do you think of these items? Would you buy it yourself? Would you buy it yourself? What do you think? How is it selling? Do the customers like it? So he got information from the shop floor. And it's very important to talk to your staff as well. Talk to your colleagues. Get information where you can. Because we are all consumers. Every one of us is a consumer. There's one thing that we all have in common. We are all consumers. We may be different religions, we may be different class system, but we all are common consumers. We all consume something. If we are not consumers, then we're not human. Because as humans, we consume, we go out, we buy. We have likes, we have dislikes. So we must talk to our customers. How many chefs in a restaurant go around the tables afterwards and talk to the customers? Did you like that? Did you enjoy that? What would you like to see on the menu? What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? How do you think we can improve? Now, the important thing is your regular customers will think he or she as a chef is interested in me. I'm important. They're asking me what I like, what I dislike, and what I would like to be changed on the menu, what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. That's so valuable feedback. Communication, to talk to one another. And that's important. Remember this, we are all teachers, but we're all learners. We can learn from one another. And that's the important issue. We can learn from one another. Remember that. The most important tool is speak to your customers. So we've looked at operational control, how that impinges on production planning, the key focus on market research. What changes food habits do you foresee after the COVID-19 crisis? Well, this is what I think will happen over the COVID-19 crisis. First of all, without a vaccine, when we open up, restaurants will have to space their tables quite far apart. So, for example, if we were a 100-seater restaurant, we may have to go down to 50 seats, but turn the tables over. So we will want faster menus, quicker service, so we're not staying in the restaurant too long. So menus will change in the way we produce the food quickly, get people in, and get a bit more casual dining, more in and out, because people won't want to sit too close together. I think that's definitely going to come. So I think menus will change. I think people's likes and dislikes won't necessarily change, but the way we use restaurants in the foreseeable future will be quite different. I mean, I don't want to go into a restaurant and sit so close to someone else. I want them to be 2 meters apart. So one would have to be very careful when one opens up the restaurant, if they're going to be allowed to open up. If they're going to be allowed to open up, they will have to, for example, be much more spacious. I think there will be restrictions for also in the numbers of people using lifts, where a lift may, for example, take a maximum of 10 people, may only be 4. I think that's definitely going to come. I mean, how many people want to lose a lift in future? I don't know. Yeah. Customer education better than customer awareness? Is customer education better than customer awareness? Well, in the sense, customer awareness is a form of education. Some customers are very well informed. Other customers are aware, which opens up the whole question about how aware are they, how knowledgeable are they. Nothing can beat good education. And I always say, and I've said this for many years, for example, in London, many customers don't know how to be customers. And what that means is this: they go into a restaurant, they sit down, and they click their fingers. They treat the food service staff quite badly, and sometimes they're quite rude, but they don't know how to be customers. And the only way that you can get over that from the food service is treat them with kindness, smother them with kindness, and get them to respond differently. But customers don't know how to be customers. When I was in Switzerland a couple of years ago, I went to a restaurant, and the reaction from the staff, the customers in the restaurant and the staff was so different. They respected the food service people. You see, this is why I don't like the word waiter. Waiter puts food in front of you. But a food service professional creates your experience, has empathy with you. Yeah. I think one word we've got to get rid of is the word waiter. Yeah. Food service professional, yeah, is much better. Waiter has servant connotations. And I think this is what we've got to change. Customers have to learn to be customers. Well, that's a good question. Not related to topic, but 3 important attributes that a person should have to fit into the hospitality industry. Well, first of all, I think you have to have personality. Yeah. I think you have to be a performer. You have to be a performer in front of people if you're in front of house. You have to be a social actor. And that's why I say to people in the industry, when you want people front of house, don't interview them, audition them. Audition people. Because they have to put on an act, and particularly when they're dealing with difficult customers. I think you have to also have empathy, and you have to have passion and a love of food and hospitality. They're the 3 main attributes. Why do I like so much the hospitality industry? Because I love food, I love the creativity, I love the innovation, I love meeting people across the world, I love the different cultures, the different religions. I embrace myself with that. And I have this empathy with people, and I have this passion. Yeah. Because I think to be human is to be hospitable. And I think we have so much in hospitality to teach the world. We have so much to teach the world. How is the vegan food going to be developed in the future? Well, I think it's on development now. The vegan food or plant-based food is, I think there'll be more and more. I think what we're going to see is much more emphasis on, and we're going to see different products on the market. We're going to see a lot more recipe development in the future, a lot more innovation in vegan food. And vegetarian as well, I mustn't forget vegetarian, but less meat, a lot less meat in the future. So the future, from where I am, is looking very bright. Once we get over this lockdown, and don't forget, boys and girls, we've got through 2 world wars. So we're going to get through this, and things are going to bounce back. It was interesting because I watched a very good program last night, a political program, and it said basically that 2 countries that are not going to be much affected in the economic downturn, and that was interesting. The 2 countries that's not going to be least effective and not have such an economic downturn. One was China, and we know that because they're making money out of the pandemic. But you know who the second one was? And this has come from a research institute in the UK. The second one was India. India is not going to be so affected by the economic downturn. They're predicting a 1% growth. So you're very fortunate to be IIHM. You're very fortunate to live in a country that is so diverse. And there are just so many opportunities for you. So I thank you very much. We're now on the hour. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's relevant to you. And please tune in next week, same time, when we'll talk about production capability, and we'll talk about the product customer relationship, which is very important. And then through this lockdown, we'll keep going. I'll keep sending sub for approval from Abdullah. If you want a subject on education, vocational education, and where we are today, I'm very happy to do that and explain the difference in academic and vocational education, and there shouldn't be, how politicians see it. So we look for the future. The future is bright. The future, remember this, say this to yourself. Every one of you listening now, I want you to say to yourself, the future is bright. The future is IIHM. The future is bright. The future is IIHM. Okay, so have a good week, and I hope to see you next week. Give yourself a big pat on the back. Remember, the future is bright. The future is IIHM. Goodbye, and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye now.